Hello, today we'll be creating this line animation on scroll using CSS, and this is a very basic example of it, and along with the line animation we'll be also moving this circle. As you can see, this line is moving on scroll. It's very simple, very common animation type, and has many use cases. Many websites have built based on this. So let's see how we can create this. Here I have a sample code pen where I have added just the SVG. I'll just give you a brief of SVG. So as you have seen here, there is a gray line, and then there is a black line which is running, and there is a circle. So here, if you go, this is an SVG. There is a line base, which is the gray line. There's a line running, which is a black line, and there is a circle. There are only three elements to it. Now let's see how we can do the SVG animation. So I'll just give you a brief that it is possible for us to animate an SVG this way is because SVG provides us with two properties, stroke dash array and stroke dash offset. Using those, or you can say manipulating those, we are able to create it. And there is one very important note that this is possible only because this line has been created using fill none and with using only stroke. If there is a fill, then this is not going to work. Okay, so please keep this in mind. I have seen many people struggling with it when I help people in forums, and I have seen people do this mistake quite often. So please keep in mind. And then and now we'll talk about those two properties. So there is that entire concept I'll be explaining in a separate video. There are a couple of blog posts I'll link below if you want to read more about it, but there are two main things: stroke dash offset and dash array. Okay, and what those things are, basically those properties help us create the dash lines in the SVG, right? Like this. So right now what you have seen, this is a continuous line, this is a dash line. Now how can you define these dashes? And this dashes can be of varying length. Okay, this you can define it in dash array. You can give multiple values, and it will take one value one after the other, and it will create those multiple length dashes. Or you can use a single value as well. Like for example, if you use 4, it will create 4. This length of the dash will be 4, and it will create 4 like that. And then there is a dash offset, which is the gap between these two. Okay, how much gap you want in between those two dashes, that you can define in dash offset. And we are just manipulating these values to create an illusion like line is moving. Okay, so how we can do that is what we will say that okay, dash array will be using only one value over here, which is the length of the line. Okay, so dash array will be length of the line, means this entire line. Suppose that line is this line is 100 long. Okay, 100 points long, and so that particular that will show the entire line, right? Because this is one long dash, as you can see in the black. I haven't defined anything for here. Okay, I'll just remove this. Okay, so I have added stroke dash array as 1 and dash offset as 1. Okay, so dash array is covering the entire line, and dash offset is basically a gap, right? The gap is generally is not visible. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just to demonstrate, I'll comment this dash offset, and what you will see is the dash line. So this is one long dash, and we are using one long dash offset to move around, and that will give an illusion that this line is moving. Okay, that is just a brief about it. Now the length, you must be thinking why I'm using 1. So this usually this is the length, whatever you define, 400, 100 and whatever. And here, as I said, we want to give a full length of this particular line, so that you can actually calculate using JavaScript. But since we are doing everything in CSS here, we'll be using a property called path length, which is actually SVG's property. Here I have defined in line running path length is equals to 1. What this property does is it lets us use the length of the line in a 0 and 1 format. Okay, 1 is a full length and 0 is a starting point. So let's begin. Okay, so we have given the black line is off because dash offset is 1, and now we are reducing this dash offset from 1 to 0, or you can do 0.5 and things like that. I added a line, a keyframe for it, the stroke dash offset 1 to the stroke dash offset 0. I'll be adding animation, this keyframe to the animation with 5 seconds duration and linear ease and forward. So very basic setup. And as you have seen, the line has already moved and finished. Okay, so this is fine now. But what we actually want is to do it using the scroll. Like as I move the scroll, this line should animate. Okay, the animation should be controlled by the scroller. So for that, and the CSS properties animation timeline, and you can say okay scroll, and this will attach the scroller to the timeline. And if you are familiar with the green chalk animation, you must be familiar with the timelines. Okay, so consider this as this particular animation is attached to the scroll. Now let's see what happens. Okay, this is fine. It's moving, right? It's fine. But you can see that I'm moving and the line is somewhere here behind it. Okay, that is happening because if you can see the length of the scroller, right, the entire page is way longer than our line. Our line stops somewhere here, and this scroll is basically works from this top of this scroller to the bottom, right? So that length is way more than the length of this line. Okay, so what we can do is if your line is equal, then it's fine, no issues. But in order to demonstrate it, I'll say adding the range. So CSS has a property called animation range start. Okay, and say I will give 2%. You can give values in percent, and I will say animation range and I will give it 50%. Okay, right now I have just added the values because I know this is the values, but I'll show you how I come up with those values as well. So as you can see, 2% it moved and it started scrolling. Okay, perfect. So now these values I used an extension to figure out this value. So in order to debug CSS and scroll animations, there is a nice tool which I'll show you here. And you can see here this is called scroll driven animation. This is a browser extension. You can install it, and you can see here this extension let us visualize this animation. Okay, so what is important here is that you select that particular line. So here line running is selected, hence it is moving us, showing us the line running. If you select line base, because there is no animation attached to line base, so it's not showing anything. So I'll just click here, and this is if you move, right, and this is the added values. Here you will get two values, range start, range end, and you can manipulate it and figure out what works for you. Okay, and there are many other things you can use it for to debug CSS scroll animations. You can check that out, this extension. Now let's go back, and here now we need to move this circle. So I added a property called offset path in the CSS of this line circle, which I have given a path as a coordinates. Okay, and here also I have defined a path in which we have given URL. Both the ways are fine. You can do it either ways, but I think path is not supported in Safari or something like that. Hence I have given both. So whichever browser support which property, it should work. You can check can I use for the support, and so yeah, so basically you can give any ID or you can define the coordinates. Here are the coordinates. You can just copy paste this D value from here and put it here. Okay, and okay, after adding this path, what happened is that my circle is over here. Okay, because generally the elements reference point is usually the SVG's reference point. Okay, but in our case we want its reference point to be its own. Like we want this circle to take a reference for anything of its own. Okay, and to solve that problem, we have one property. This is called transform box fill box. You can read more about it, but basically this is what it does. It takes the reference of the own element and not of the SVG. Okay, and I have defined, and see this has moved over here, but it is not center aligned with the line. Okay, it is the start. It is at the start of the line. So in order to align it, I'm using the property offset anchor 50%, 50%, 50. This is the x and y values, and as you can see, this has perfectly centered with the line. Okay, so now our element is in position. Now all we need to do is to move this. Okay, so I added a keyframe move, which is like which travels from offset distance 100% to 100%, because initial distance is 100, but this is the property you can use. And now we will add this move animation with all the initial values, like move 5 seconds, which we have used for the line. The same setup, linear and forwards. Okay, and you can see that our circle is moving. Okay, fine, but it's not moving in the based on the scroller. Now we need to attach the scroller for this. So for that I will use the same thing, same setup. I'll use animation timeline scroll, so range start and 50, and it should work along with the line perfectly fine. So yeah, our animation is done. I'll be creating more videos regarding SVG and animations. I have worked in for SVG and animations from a very long time, and I have created many code depends, and I have worked for various clients. So I want to share those knowledge and my experience based on that, and so I'll be creating videos related to it. And if you want to you want me to create some specific demos or things like that, please do comment. Please subscribe to the channel, and thank you for watching.